Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Hello. Hope you guys are having a solid Monday. It's a little early for some of us. But I'm glad you guys are here. This is First Touch here on February 15th, 2021. It's me, Roldiz, and T-Bates. Roldiz, can you move over a little bit again? Like, y'all.
Over here?
Yeah. There you go. We got everybody here, and we're going to be joined with SubPar later on today. But first, guys, how you doing?
Chilling. This camera wants to work for a second.
I'm vibing like usual. I got my rock on today. Everybody know the famous rock with a little chain, little black shirt on. I ain't got the fanny pack though. But I came in looking clean. Yeah. First off, we gotta get some birthday shit. Well, actually, no. Cause your birthday is it 4 days or 3 days tomorrow?
It's on Wednesday.
Oh, never mind, sir. Never mind. Your birthday on Wednesday, so we good.
Yeah,
we good. Mention it. I'm actually kind of annoyed right now, man.
Why?
Can you believe that it is a lower temperature in Austin, Texas, than in Pennsylvania?
Look,
I have a foot of snow outside right now. There's people making snowmen outside, bro. I can't win.
It's cold there too. I think I think it's still colder in Chicago, but it's definitely cold there. And
colder in Chicago.
Yeah, I think it's 5 degrees in Texas.
It's 5 degrees in?
I think it's like 1 here.
It's 16 or 19 where I'm at.
Oh, it's 19? Wait, hold on.
You never catch me in no 1 degree weather. What?
I'm checking my phone. Oh, it's 13 right now. Or 15. No, 15. Okay, so
15 in Chicago?
Yeah. So it's a little bit.
You see my skin tone? Our creator didn't envision anybody with our skin tone being in 1 degree weather. That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm over here in the bayou. Where it's always warm.
I guess that's what it is. I guess
it's not warm today.
Besides today. I don't know what's happening today, but any other day.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold outside. Honestly, though, with all the power outages, I really thought this morning. I was like, I don't know if Roldiz was gonna make it, but I guess you guys been handling it pretty well.
Yeah, I think we only had one power outage last night in the middle of the night where I didn't see it, so because I was out cold, geyser schedule.
Yeah, some people are without power for a long time though. So actually, really, really thankful that everything's going good with you guys and that whole situation. But yeah, we got everybody here again. Stumpy and Cole, they'll be joining us a little bit later on in the day today. But let's get right to it. Actually, well, before we get to what we have planned, there's a couple of stuff that's been going on, like some stuff that just got announced versus also this other thing that we just kind of found out today. So what just got announced just now, I think Spaceman just announced that he's working on a RL Esports show. It looks really interesting based on the trailer. Looks really really deep. But I think he's put a lot of time into fixing it and editing it up. So big congrats on Spaceman for being able to announce that show, and we hope to see more of it. Definitely will keep an eye on talking about it. Hold on, I'm watching the trailer. Okay, there's no name yet, so it's a coming soon. It's a teaser trailer. But
it's a show.
Yeah. He's
like a weekly thing or something like that.
We don't know. I don't know. All we know is there's a trailer. He's working on something, so we'll end up seeing what comes of that as time goes on. But keep an eye on it. Again, Spaceman SR on Twitter if you guys are interested. Also, something that we are very excited about here is there's a Reddit post. I think it's top of the subreddit right now, and we were asking about it in the show. I think last week,
Monday.
Last Monday, we were talking about how players do when switching cards. We're looking for the stats. There's a huge, long, detailed Reddit post someone made 3 hours ago about the stats. We saw it, and it looks really cool. That being said, though, we haven't necessarily been able to dissect it yet. So if it's Direct or whoever made the actual thread on it, we just got word of it. So we'll break that down on Wednesday. But definitely keep an eye on that, guys. If you go to the Rocket League Esports subreddit, that you'll be able to see that and also kind of get ahead of the game and know something that we'll be talking about in the future. So that's really interesting, though. Really interesting. What do we have first up? First up, let's talk about what we had happen last week. So we're going to kind of be just recapping some things that happened. First event that happened last week was Thursday, the North American RLCS Major tiebreaker in North America, where Sonics, Ghosts, KC Pioneers, and Loco, and they all ended up playing on that one. And 3 teams made it. Sonics, I think, were the first team to qualify, and then afterwards it was KCP, and then Ghost was the last team. I mean, Rodis was on the field. He was doing what he had to do. You know what I mean? But,
hey, what I tell you what I tell you.
You ain't say much.
No, what I said, I didn't. You're right. I didn't say much. What did I say though? I think I said 3 words. I am confident. I said I am confident. All right, and I mean y'all took me. Y'all said Sonics would win, so I appreciate it.
You ain't say a series though.
Huh?
Did you say a series?
What are you talking about?
When you predicted yourself, you said, "Oh yeah, that's why you said I am confident." Hey, I said y'all go win 4-2.
Yeah, I mean you got it. You got it right on the money.
I know, man. On the money. I mean, it was pretty obvious to me. I almost went 3 for 3, but I messed up with the local. Go Loco didn't do it for me.
But Loco against Ghost.
Yeah, I think they ran out of their lives. I think it's about to tank time for them. Unfortunately, I had it coming after this, but
actually, I think even me and Rodis were on it too with the KC and Ghost going 7.
Yeah, I said KC would win in 7. I think you 6. Said you said 6 in KC.
I said 6 for them 2, and then I said 7 for the last one. But then Ghost finishing them up in 5 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
maybe
it was
6.
They beat him in 5. They beat him in 5.
But I mean, talent shows. Talent shows, like I always say, when you put the best people on the field, you got to produce. And Grandpa Diggs hopping out on that field and letting everybody know that you might be able to cut the man from the league, but he's still putting in a little bit of work on the off season. You know what I'm saying? Getting his rank game up. And like at RL, you don't really need to be Justin to produce. So Raul coming in, do what he had to do to win.
I mean, he was looking good out there, though. I don't know if
bro, I was going.
Yeah, he had a little reset in there, you know.
I was good.
See, the reason he flipper set is because on the show the day before, I told you I was flipper set on him, so he had to know he had to show the world that he can still flipper set at a decent level. Because nobody wants to be able to flipper set worse than T-Bates. I mean, Raul don't flipper set better than him anyways. We all know that, but like,
bro, you hit one in your career. One in your career. Are you gonna taunt it against me?
Don't disrespect that. Don't disrespect
that.
Don't disrespect me.
We need to see a stream later on today or something. We need to see you hitting consistent flippy sets somewhere.
I guess I gotta keep proving the world.
You can't just hit one and it's over. That's a one-hit wonder. That's a fluke to me. That's a fluke to me. You gotta hit another.
We gonna see. But yeah, anyways, personally speaking, I just want to tell you congratulations. I told you congratulations, but Sonic's making no surprise. Ghost making a little bit of surprise, and KCP struggling a little bit in that local series was a little bit of it.
No, not local. The Ghost series.
The Ghost series.
The Ghost series was a little surprising to me. I thought it'd be like close 4-2, but I didn't think the games would be all that. I think you just gotta give respect and credence to your opponent in the Rocket League these days. Everybody's decent enough to where you miss a couple shots, counterattack, you lose that game. There's nothing you can do about it. You gotta move on. So that's why I gave them 2 games. But for the fact of them to push them that far, push KCP to their limit, then KCP has to really clutch up.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I feel like that series would have went. KCP was only gonna struggle if they let like the counterattacks happen. If they were overly aggressive offensively and they didn't compensate for defense, So it's exactly like G2. It's little baby G2. And if they weren't careful, the Ghost is gonna punish with the counterattacks.
Little baby G2. That's a comparison I ain't never heard before.
It does bring me a very, I was talking to Ghost Coach Ficky the other day, and I was telling him about how, like, I talk about him and his impact on the team, how I say, like, if he's not there, then the team doesn't do good. And, like, I mean, he thinks, like, he's open to, like, having more discussion about it, and I kind of do, actually. Like, what do you think about that? Like, just in terms of, like, a team not necessarily being able to perform unless they have like a coach, because again, I know there was this big talk about like coaches deserving more credit, and now like they are getting more credit overall, but this much of an impact to where we don't see if Ghost doesn't have their coach, they're getting swept by Radiant. When they do have their coach, they're taking KCP to game 7 and making the series as close as possible, and they're completely stomping Loco. So how does that come to you guys in terms of like the overall scope of things, and just like, do you think that that's something like, I don't really know, like, do you think that that's good that the coach has that much of an impact. I feel like it's good for like the coach conversation, but if you look at like the team as a whole, it kind of shows like, I don't know, they don't have enough of a function to work on their own at the same time. You know what I mean?
There's nothing wrong with that. Not being able to function by yourself. Because, I mean, to have the coach, you have that separation of power, per se. You have 3 players on the same team, and with no coach, you can't really, I mean, you like walking a thin line. Somebody's got to become the leader, if somebody becomes the leader. And if you don't, then everybody's going to be fighting amongst themselves. When things go wrong, it's going to be like, you did this. It's the lack of composure. Because a lot of these kids are younger age. What's the average age of the Mectos freshness? They were like 18, huh? About 18, probably like that. 18, 17.
So I think it's like the average age is like 17.
So like these ain't like 22-year-old men with full composure and stuff like that. They still growing, they still maturing. They have a lot of maturation to do as young men. And so you need a leader for that. Fakey, well-spoken man, always has good vibes. He probably keeps them composed. And when they get a little bit of rattle, Fakey comes in, calm voice, and fixes the mental, gets them ready for the next game. Because you gotta teach all these young men, all these young players that young ladies that you playing too. Don't want to exclude nobody. That if you
This man.
I can't. That if you playing, let me get back to my point. That's on me. And when you're playing, you gotta have the composure. Rocket League it's a series for a reason. You got multiple games of that last 5 minutes. After that 5 minutes over, you gotta reset, take a little mental break, wait the 60 seconds, walk. You gotta get up, go take a quick breather, and mentally reset, refocus for that next game. And coaches really are important for that type of energy. And so, I mean, Raul can probably touch on it better than me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the mark. Honestly, like coaches are that fourth man in. If your players aren't gelling like they should be, they're not best friends. They're not. They can't talk to each other like that. Then that's what a coach's job is, to like bring the whole squad together if they're ever like falling off the mark that they need to be hitting. And sometimes it's harder than than you think. Because you're trying to balance everybody's emotions at the same time, which is super tough. But you got to make it work. And for Fakey to have a team that speaks so highly about him, saying that if they're not there or if Fakey's not there, then they're struggling completely. They're falling apart. It's crazy. It speaks wonders to Fakey's coaching and what he brings to that team.
Talent, professionalism, composure, which is sounds like a solid man to have behind you when you out there in the trenches.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely was something where I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's interesting, right? Because it's kind of like the first time I think I've like really heard about a coach having that much of an impact. And again, we're coming from a time where they, were fighting to at least even have a presence in the game, like in that world, that atmosphere. And they still are, even with like things here and there, obviously a coach's dream is to be in the lobby as the matches go on, but there's difficulties and things like that. That's a weird subject that I just don't have time to like even think about right now. But that being said, like they're still trying to like get more support as much as they can and just be into the action as possible so they can help their team succeed. And now that you have something that kind of even proves it with these results here, and there's probably even other examples somewhere else that we don't even see, I think that was pretty good to get opinions on, because I necessarily didn't know. I'm like, okay, well, players should be able to work on their own, but you bring up a good point where sometimes they have that breakdown, and sometimes it just that's where you need a coach to kind of bring them and pull them back in. So I mean, if anything, it's just props to Fakey for doing such a good job that his team needs him in a way,
Needs him.
Yeah, that's fine. But at the same time, there's another side of the spectrum where you might not need one if you got that mature team, or if you got a coach who stepped in as a player. Like Raul, for example, like for y'all, like how was that dynamic since you weren't coaching but you were playing this time? Like, was there more talking amongst y'all, or did they like defer to you? Like, how's that work? What's the difference?
All right, so I'm gonna give you the inside scoop. All right, so game 1, right? The Marwaj, extremely shaky. My players were quaking. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit nervous first time back on a big stage for a minute. But it was extremely shaky. And come on, bro. After that game 1, I was like, boys, relax, take a deep breath, calm down. We keep playing like this, we ain't gonna win. All right. So when we warmed up, we were firing on all cylinders, right? So like we were playing really well when we were warming up. against the team we were warming up against. And I was just like, I need that roster that I just played with. I need you guys right now. All right, take your time, calm down, relax. Let's get back into it. All right, we got this. We're the better roster here. All right, so like I took that leadership role because I'm known for the coach, right? So even though I'm not used to playing with them, I felt like I had to take that responsibility as a coach, and I mean that is my job to kind of bring my team back mentally as well. So
right, but like okay, so saying that they respect you already because you're a coach. If you say you were just a player who came in, would they still respect you that same way though?
I guess it depends on if
It depends on the player.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how they view me, right? So I don't know. I think my players respect me to the point where like Shock is like he was like, I'm so happy that you actually put in the time to bump up your skills for like in such a short notice, because I was moving as well. Like I was moving. I was just super busy moving, getting my room together, getting the house in order. And then I had to put in time and scrims and replay review, all this, everything. So just gained a lot more respect for me from my players as well. So that I was able to put in time for that tourney.
Right. And I would say it's easier to gain respect when you have a older team behind you as your
100%.
arsenal. It's easier to older people will just gravitate to people that they see hard working and diligent to their craft, and that's what you've done. So it really just falls into both like fears per se. You either have to have like a younger team, a coach would be great, but if you could have a great player coach too who has earned the respect, the team captain, all the players, like when you're talking, they listen to you after game. I mean, that works as well. It depends on the team, but having some form of figure of a coach is definitely a necessity for every team, in my
Some
opinion.
sort of leadership, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you even got to give Roldiz like some props though too, because like he's even underselling it a lot. He did a lot of work from, I'd say, when we first started doing even this, even up to today, where it's like, okay, you know, he has responsibilities as a coach to like, you know, figure out what's going on with the team. That stuff doesn't work out. He's got his own, like, you know, the Gamers Ready coaching stuff that he does. He's in the middle of moving, goes all the way down to Texas to do that while still, again, working on the show, then having to transition into being a player so the team can pretty much keep their season alive and go to the major. Like, that's a lot of shoes you got to fill in. And you know, a lot of people don't know like how like stressful that can really be to somebody, right? Like he was doing this show and he didn't even have a bed in his house. Now he got a bed, and I'm like, look, he got a bed. You know what I mean? So it's just like you gotta give props to the man because he put in a lot of hard work, and now you see it in what everything that's like coming to him.
Hard work shows, baby.
Yeah,
I'm moving.
Thanks. Yeah. So, I think that's what else did we hit on in terms of this this tiebreaker stuff. Obviously, congrats to the Sonics. KCP playing close is a little worrisome. Ghost though, like the win against Loco, pretty big for them. I think
congrats to Ghost, man.
Yeah, I want to see what everyone's looking like points wise in the winter split. This means we'll go full rankings. This means that Sonics pretty much are going to pass Loco and take that 10th spot, but with a chance to move even higher if they have a successful run. They could even
back on a top 10 team.
Yeah, they could even eclipse Alpine or maybe even KCP, depending on how things go. It's going to be for those guys. It's going to be very like KCP peeps. Keeping that spot's going to be pretty stressful. And then you have Ghost, who's sitting at 560, and a good run for them will push them into at least a conversation for the top 10 if they're able to do well in that major. So we'll talk a bit more about majors for North America next week when we kind of get into that. But we'll shift now to talk about, again, last week. We were talking about South America, and that actually was a really interesting major. Before we get into it, though, you guys have to look on Twitter. It's not on Twitter, but I'll put it in the Twitch chat. And then if you guys are watching on YouTube, I'll put the link in there as well. There's a series of tweets. You got to look at the whole thread here that showed Rocket League had talked about the sponsorship between Ford and the Ford F-150 and how that was going to affect the majors. And it did, in a way. Like, we saw, okay, we're bringing a new truck into the game, but there was these cool graphics that they had, like, around Game 5 time that were super cool. There was one that had the Ford F-150 bring the ball into the field and then drop it off at the middle of the field, and then it did a transition, and then the players are at kickoff in Champions Field for the Game 5. It was that, and then it was something else where you see the Ford F-150 pulling a tanker that was full of boost and filling up the boost in the game. I thought that was super cool too. I did not expect them to actually go that hard in terms of the sponsorship. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I actually like it. It just shows you the work Psyonix is even putting in now to just these minor. I mean, this is kind of major, actually. That's major graphics. Yeah, major graphics. It's not even minor. But these major graphics that they're starting to implement into the game is so cool.
Yeah, I love the little interactions and the forward drop. First off, Achieves and Waypoint transition into that so smoothly. That's why they're professionals.
Yeah.
And I just love how the ball got rolled right into the start, then instant transition to the beginning of the Game 5, which made the Game 5 even more hype than it already was. And I hope that Psyonix can continue those sort of little nuanced sponsorships and little nuanced scenes that really make a difference in terms of overall enjoyability and viewability. And it was pretty cool. Hopefully that's a little preview for something they'll add into the game eventually. Maybe we have like a proper garage we drive into. So then I have my Fennec in one garage, have my Octane in another. Maybe get a little like when I'm changing wheels, it goes takes the tires off. Like, come on, like maybe we get there eventually. For now, that's pretty neat.
Oh my goodness.
Man, asking for way too much.
Calm down, bro.
I'm a big dreamer. I'll take it as a time.
You got.
I like it. Hey, they put in time like that. See, I would have never thought they did that 3 years ago, but see, now they doing it. So then maybe 3 years down the line, I roll up in the Octane when I come into the game.
Yeah, maybe. Well, pull up. We'll see. That being said, that was a cool thing to debut during the Sam Major. I thought that was awesome. Now, looking at the Sam Major real quick, that was actually really interesting. So I casted that over the weekend. I casted day 1 of it. And one of the teams that it did end up watching, or that we were covering in the B stream, was Novus, who ended up winning. They actually won that major. They bracket reset true neutral. They had this crazy like upper bracket run where they make it all the way through. True neutral sends them to the lower bracket. They win, and then they bracket reset and then beat them in a 7-game series. So super exciting, and congrats again to Novus. That's Card, Tander, and Kyo. Some people like those names are so old that like some people I can just say that and they're like, oh yeah, I know these guys.
Yeah, we know them.
Yeah. So without even having to watch Sam. But now I think that kind of shot them up a little bit. They're much closer to True Neutral in the top 2 spots, but True Neutral and Novus are almost at 1,000-point lead on Noble, who's in second. So big jump there for those two. All they need is a couple of good regionals, and they pretty much confirm, worlds.
So, they're so far ahead.
Yeah, big shout outs to True Neutral and Novus for that. But during the weekend, I was talking to F-Dot about Sam and OCE, and this is what I want to throw to you guys. Wait, people are saying, oh, I got to turn my mic up. Okay, but yeah, so one of the things that we were talking about was he didn't understand why Sam and OCE were so far behind North America and Europe. And I tried to tell him, I'm like, okay, well, there's, like, they just, I don't know, like, they don't have the experience to play, like, on the fields and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, but I don't get why. And he explained it more in depth where he was just like, in other MOBAs and other games, you have, like, maybe this team has access to this and this is this, but in Rocket League, everyone has the same stuff when you load into the game, all the cars load into the same spots, et cetera, et cetera. But he didn't, so for him, it was tough for him to just kind of get it. I told him pretty much it kind of boils down to like experience. They don't have experience in those regions, but I want to ask you two, because maybe you guys have something that I may have missed, But why do you guys think regions like South America and OC are so far behind?
You want to start us, T-Biz?
I mean, they just. It's hard to explain. They don't. First off, they don't have the player base. That's the player base and ping. I think are two major components. So, well, I say that, but some players be going for some interesting stuff in ranked. So I don't know if it affects them as much as I think it does. But I'm gonna give them that the ping anyways. They can't play players at the NAEU level on a consistent basis, especially when like in EU players are queuing like at prime rank hours, which is late night. They're probably not queuing at those same times. And then especially in scrims is when you get to experience the true speed of threes players and their overall components and how they reserve your boost, how they preserve their own boost and take your boost, and the overall speed of the game is increased tenfold compared to ranked. And they don't have that. They can't experience that on a day-to-day level like everybody else does. Because I mean, Raul can tell you, Raul as a coach, Raul looks for these ranked players with lots of mechanics, lots of potential, and then he puts them into tryouts potentially against other great teams, and then they make the team. They play the real scrim teams, and then from there, the player with potential blossoms, and they become even better because when you get the scrim Justin, scrim Garrett, scrim Atomic Mist, you get to see what they do at that level, and then you can study their game. You can see the replay, or you can just watch them and be like, wow, I never thought about going for that. And then you try to implement that into your own game, and then you become a better player. Sam players don't have that, and OCE people don't have that. So for me, that's probably why they are behind in those categories.
I think it's safe to say that NA and EU are just way ahead of the curve, right? So when Sam players and OCE players don't have that competition that T-Bits is talking about, they won't improve to the level that we're at. And their player base is significantly smaller. I recently coached an OCE player on Gamers Ready, and it took him 15 minutes to get into a lobby at Grand Champ. Like he's not even at the top level, and it's taking him 15 minutes to get into one game. So they just don't have the player base. Go ahead. I mean, like if they're trying to play on NA, then they're just sacrificing ping, which is a huge difference. So
right, you need the reps, you need the ping because you have the better ping, and you are afforded a greater chance of winning a 50. You don't really see a lot of Sam players, at least the ones I play. They don't really go for 50s too much, not against people with better ping. They'll go for high balls for some reason, and it's very aggressive. If I was on that ping, I know I would never try it, but they're confident with their speed. But it's just like little technicalities like that make the difference in terms of overall gameplay, and it's just something that they're gonna have to. I don't know how to ever remedy it, to be honest with you, because watching over the weekend that gameplay, they're good, but like they're not worlds good.
No, I mean it's something that can even be broken down to like a basic sense because I casted those matches. You know what I mean? And a losing South American team in a major doesn't know that the third man shouldn't be in somebody's box. You know what I mean? Like that's what happened. I ended up I think it was like a team degeneration series. It was the only series I actually casted, and it was lower bracket round one type vibes. And this team was just playing so aggressive that their third man was always past the half line, always up every time. Of course, it got them some goals, but it got them scored on more than it got them goals because, again, it just took one clear, someone downfield. We talk about this all the time with counterattacks. Boom. It's more in your net because you don't have anybody there. Like, your net's wide open. Mm-hmm. So, like, me seeing that and me seeing, like, okay, this is an obvious thing, I'm just like, well, you kind of start to understand like why, but the question is, and T-Bates, I'm sorry that you don't know, but I might need you to think about it a little bit. But FDOT was trying to propose different ways of having, like, what way would you have these regions catch up? Now, I want to make this a little bit tougher because obviously you want people to play more, and for me, I feel like this season was built around helping those regions in a way catch up with all the majors supposed to being lands. You know what I mean? Like before Corona happened, the first two majors should have been live events. So, it kind of begs the question, is there, and this is like, in a perfect world type of deal. But besides them playing each other, do you guys think that there's any other way for the regions to catch up? Evda was talking about sending somebody all the way to like having like a designated person or coach or like top player sent over to those regions to try to teach the regions.
That is bread.
Even if they,
I mean, if you send them bread, you making them make bread off of them teams, then we just consider that.
Well, yeah, like I mean, the person's obviously going to get paid to do it, but the question is like, okay, the question is though, would it work? It's not if like, would it work?
I don't think it would. I think this is where we like copycat off other esports. Do what League of Legends is doing. You got imports, right? There's import slots. So if we ever go to like some franchising thing, which would be crazy, you take a player that you see with potential, like a top player from one of these regions, and say they sacrifice their own money to come to NA and boot camp for a little bit, right? And then they showcase what they got to the player base in NA, and then maybe you pick them up. Your organization picks them up and it transfers them over to NA. You know what I'm saying? So that they have, and then they'll improve over time if they have that potential that you see. I don't ever see a world where if they don't transfer to one of the major regions that they'll ever progress further than they are. They'll never catch up. They'll never catch up in their respective regions.
It's like a drip A type movement.
Yeah, sort of.
From the best way, in my opinion, would be with the new format. They have the NA major and the SAM major, rather than having that. Because you say they're supposed to be lands tomorrow, rather than having that separated for the next RLCS, they should have just an Americas major. Like it should always be in conjunction. So the 1 and 2 in SAM would get flown out to whatever the NA land is. And so then they would be able to play the NA teams and the NA teams in their own in that major. And that would be an overall major champion. And then for EU's tough because they just added the APL, which just got announced, and they have the OCE over there. See, OCE would be tough. I don't know necessarily how to improve OCE. It's very far out from everybody else, unless they want to fly people from Australia to EU and do an EU like overall, just like Eastern Hemisphere major. Maybe that works. Maybe if they feel like doing that, but you would have to give these teams experience and reps. If you put them on a major, they have the chance to go. What that'd be 3 majors before Worlds. That's 3 times. You're getting scrims for a week, especially if they get flown in early. You get scrims for a week probably. You get to play NA ranked, and you get all that experience 3 times because it's more than likely going to be the same 2 teams from both regions because those regions are very watered down, to say the least.
Yeah.
and that'd probably be the best way of them catching up. Mm-hmm. If Sonics thinks about that, I think that is a good way to remedy the situation for both of those regions, especially if they're going to give them free world spots, which I still don't think is necessarily the right way to go.
Well, my counter argument to that is like, when you move a player to just one major for a week, he goes back to right where he was playing before. So it's like he's gonna get acclimated to NA for a week, and then he's gonna transfer back and then reacclimate himself. You always adjust. Humans adjust. We adapt to our situations we're in. They're not ever gonna improve because he's gonna go right back to the same situation he was in, and it's gonna. I
mean, that's fair.
He's gonna play for it. Yeah. So I feel like you just have to import these players with talent that you see, and they have to, stay in NA.
So you just want the league. You want the league to be in like NA in Europe.
No, I'm saying like they could still have the SAM championship, the OCE championship, but specific players that people see potential from. And I'm not sure that you're gonna find potential from South American players, like you're gonna find potential from the young NA players that are coming up. So I don't know if it's even possible then, but I think in order for that region to improve, you just take specific players, bring them to NA and have them like grind in NA so that they stay here and they improve here. And maybe like a young 15 South American player that's like looks really good. You just bring him to NA and then he spends his career in NA.
I mean, that helps the individual player, but that doesn't help the region,
I don't think you ever can help the region.
Oh, well,
I just don't think you ever can.
there. Oof, I don't. Yeah, that makes sense because you can just compare it to the Middle East, the Saudi Arabians, Ahmad, Khalid, and all them. They get to play EU all the time. They play it on like 90 ping or 80 ping. So right there, that's the U.S. West. So that's probably why they're as good as they are.
Oh, actually, did you guys see that the APL tournament? Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's neat. It's neat. It seems to me like Zion is trying to make an Asian league. Don't know how that's gonna work.
You gotta read it, dude. I don't think you read it.
No, yeah, I did read it. They broke it down into like four distinct tournaments, like 8K, 8K, 6K, 2K, something like that, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. And so they're just trying to. But I always look at like the bigger picture, like why would Psionics do this? And for me, they're trying to see like of that whole entire region, can they make it to where they can add Asia as a region, Asia and Middle East as a region to RLCS, so then they can now play. So then they can play eventually in RLCS for next season. That's to me what the whole gimmicks of it is, from just basically reading off of it. Because
they play each other, right? Or they do play each other.
They will play each other.
Yeah, they play each other eventually. But they split it up. Like they didn't put it all as one tournament out of the rip because they already know that SRG is gonna win it. They know that already. they know that already. So they split it to where they're going to see like who's good in each of those little individual regions. So and I like it. I love the idea. I love how they're getting those regions. But like once again, it's gonna force another region that ain't ready. It ain't gonna be ready. You're just gonna put a whole bunch of teams in there with SRG.
Well, that kind of goes back to it though. When you talk about getting experience, they play SRG. They're gonna get experience from those types of teams, and they're gonna improve. They may even improve faster than OCE and Sam.
I mean that's fair. I like that point. I like that little twist. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
They get to play SRG because then SRG would play against them boys all the time. Then they playing against the best of the best. Oh no! Time outside and listen. This is one of the few games that NA's world class. We don't. You put them Asians playing against Khalid and them. I don't know, man. We gonna go right back down to League of Legends Counter Strike. I like America being at top. So we got. Sounders, I know you watching. If you watch, I need you to relax a little bit on that now. I don't want to see them Asians over there slapping everybody up like they do in every other thing. I'm trying to be on top of something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
I like that. I like that. Kind of cool.
That's funny.
That's a good 12. I can see that because Middle East also has the other good people too, like that Faha kid. Oh, okay. We can work with that then. So and if it goes like you said, the more that region, like the Asia Middle East region, if they add that, would be better than OC and Sam.
Yeah. It would.
It would.
He basically get the show canceled.
I feel like it's just because of SRG.
SRG? Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be the standout team from that region every season until
other people catch up with them.
Until the Japanese catch up, or the Asian
Japanese.
The
Japanese.
Okay.
Asian players catch up.
Wait a second. I'm about to make an audible here. Because we got somebody. So, guys, we're not slotted to have Stumpy and Cole jump in for the next 10 minutes, but I think Cole is free. So we are going to bring Cole in here right in the middle of this so we can get his thoughts. And then we can chat. Oh, I think they're both here. Actually, you know what? Let's bring them both in. Oh, my gosh,
they're both here, boy.
Let's bring them both in. Hold on. I'm going to put this thing into this screen. We'll get them set up here really shortly. We'll go to my cam while we get things set up. All right, let me see. Oh, hello?
Yo.
Hello.
Oh, gosh.
Hello.
Yes. Oh, my God.
His mustache is moving.
I'm
sorry we're laughing.
I'm here now.
Stumpy was just telling me about his burger and he just like cut off halfway through because he dragged it.
I was talking about the burger that I'm so full of burger. My gosh.
You had a burger?
Team.
What's up?
I had a burger. It was good. It was like a vegan chicken, vegan beef, full of with a massive hash brown in it and some
hash
fries.
Brown.
Yeah, right.
It's weird in the UK too to have hash brown in a burger. Can I just say?
It was just a big old slab of potato in there, right? And it had fries on the side, so double potato action with cheese and jalapenos.
Damn, now we're talking.
Fried pickles. I've never had fried pickles before. They were amazing.
That's amazing. You gotta have the fried pickles.
Really good.
Okay.
Now he's got me hungry.
Right, he did. Well, okay, so first off, First off, but I hope you guys are all eating at home. Welcome, Stumpy and Cole, to First Touch. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you here. This is a show you can talk about pretty much whatever, except just don't curse. I think that's probably like the only thing.
We wouldn't. We wouldn't.
Yeah, chill out.
Yeah, we don't swear. It's fine.
Okay, fine. Dang, that sandwich kind of made me really hungry. I'm not gonna lie.
That's true.
Sorry.
He threw me off with that one. But you know, how have you two been? How have you two been?
Yeah, pretty good. We've been we did some recording earlier on today, so we've been a little bit we've had to be on for a little while. Played some games earlier on my PlayStation 5. That's right. Otherwise, I've just been chilling.
Flex. He's flexing.
Oh yeah.
You guys are gonna hate me. I bought myself. I haven't got a PS5, but I bought the controller. And I remember the first time I saw this thing in anybody's hands, it was Dazarin, because you got like an early one.
Yeah.
And I've been really looking forward to getting it. And I've gone back to the
Already?
It's big for my little hands. Like they can't clasp it properly.
Oh my
Compared to
Lord.
this is perfect for me. All right, so I put myself forward for judgment.
You've been judged. That's awful. That's so bad. Why?
Oh my God, give it a fair chance. Oh my days.
There are dozens of us. Okay, I'm sure there are people in the chat right now
Just
saying,
you
"You know what?
and
Cole's
9-year-old
right."
children with tiny little hands.
Tiny hands.
Wait, how long did you use it for? How long did you try it?
Right. Well, okay. I think that I did it badly because I was also in the midst of changing my controls, L1 handbrake, when I switched to this. So maybe I'm more used to that. I should give it another go now. Maybe that's the play.
You definitely should.
I agree. Give it a little bit more of a run.
All right. Deal.
It's better. It's the better controller. It's perfect. It's a great size.
It's very pretty.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying.
You've got giant hands.
I've got big old slabs of
Oh
meat
my
hands.
gosh, you got the
Yeah, it's a freak of nature. You're judging me.
He takes up his whole
Hang on,
weapon.
that's a
His
pint
hands are
glass.
massive.
Look at that.
Oh
There
my
you go.
God.
Hang on.
Yeah, his hands are ginormous.
There's a
He holds.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's not big
My
enough
man's
for you.
I
palming
have
a
big
controller.
hands.
Bro, I can't even get my fingers around mine.
Yeah.
He's like,
It's like
touching
Andre.
it.
It's like Andre the Giant holding a beer can when
Oh
Stumpy
my
holds a pint
goodness,
glass.
bro.
Oh
That's
my
crazy.
goodness. Okay, well, one, I already felt bad because I don't have a PS5 technically. Like I don't have one, so and now like I'm upset that you're having so much fun without me. It just makes me really upset. Also we have Ian in the chat. The first thing he says is, "Why did you invite SubPar?" So welcome to the show, boys.
Thanks, Ian.
Um,
Cheers.
But I wanted to bring you guys in because when I saw you up there and we were having an interesting discussion that I kind of wanted your input on. We were talking about Sam and OCE being so far behind and what it would take for the regions to catch up. And one of the things we noticed was a lot of us have come to the consensus that all they really just need to do is play each other some more.
Mhm.
But we were thinking about the APL event, right? And how it's going to have Saudi Arabia and Japan playing against each other. And then we thought about how you got SRG that's going to be playing against people in Japan. And then that's going to bring that region up. And next thing you know, it's going to be Middle East and Japan better than the rest of the world. So like, I wanted to get your thoughts on that real quick.
I'm so excited because if everybody cast your minds back to when OCE first joined into RLCS, and then they went to a LAN and they got thrashed. They just got done in every single opportunity. They were too slow. They were not mechanical enough. There were just issues, and that's fine. They were missing that 10% just to get into like being competitive. It took a few seasons, and then Chiefs did really well and had a top 4 finish. It was awesome. It took a little while, and I feel like people can't necessarily expect Sam and OCE-ish, less so now, but definitely Sam, to get to that level without ever having played a North American or European tournament. I think it's very short-sighted of people to judge them on that. I'm excited to see what they do because when we looked at the previous South American tournaments, we could see the mechanics that they had, right? Like you can just tell that they know what to do. They've got the theory down and they can nail some awesome mechanics. But then 10 seconds later, they whiff an easy hit. It's just a consistency and they don't get punished for that, right? Like, so there's no real reason as to why they need to be absolutely perfect on every hit because they can just be more mechanical on the next one. So as soon as we put these teams together, I expect South America to get clapped quite easily. I think it'll just be a top 10 team in NA or Europe will just clap a South American team. And that is nothing to worry about. That's not a slight on the region. That is something that will probably happen. And I am excited for it to, because then those guys are going to go crazy next time they get a chance to play with North America or European guys. And I'm so excited to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, we had the same thing with Asia when One Any Esports, they were funded to go to DreamHack. It was DreamHack Montreal in 2019, and it was a massive moment. They came up against Mouse Sports in their first game, and it was broadcast. And as you say, Stumpy, they got destroyed. They were demolished, but you could see the potential. You could, I think, Realize was playing for them. I don't know if he still does, but Realize was playing for them at the time, and he scored a really nice goal. This is what they can do when they have space, when they have time. Unfortunately for them, Mouse Sports weren't giving them that time. But the only way they build up to that speed and that pace is by playing up against better opponents. So it's a huge part of that process to incorporate them. It sucks that we're in a place where, you know, LANs aren't happening for God knows how long. But when they do come back, seeing as many of these teams as possible mixing and playing against each other will be massive for every single region and the esport in general as well, because I personally love it when a team comes from a region that hasn't had much support and is brilliant. You think Sandrock Gaming, right, up against EU. What a story that is to tell, and what a thing that is to witness, and the casters go crazy. Who is this guy? Who are they doing? You know, it's great. It's brilliant.
The funniest part of that was when Stumpy said, yeah, they're getting absolutely destroyed, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I was mind blown, bro.
Fine.
A true competitor is Stumpy Goblin. That's fine.
If we see, what I don't want is for some idiots on subreddit or something to look at how South American players perform against North American players or European, whatever, main region players essentially, and for it to be a 0-3 South America, and they just lose. I don't want them people to be disenfranchised and think, oh, South America aren't that good then. They will be much better. But one thing that people have to realize as well is, I've said this a few times before, but when we spoke to the Oceania guys, I think it was CJ told me, yeah, we get to scrim with NA and EU once a year, twice a year. Like, that's all we get. Otherwise, we are ultimately, at the time, CJ's pretty rubbish now, but at the time, they were like on top. There was like one team they could properly scrim, and it just wasn't great. I really feel for the Sandrock guys. They can play like one other team, and even then, Sandrock are probably going to be winning like 9 times out of 10. It's just not very conducive to proper hours being spent in the proper way. And when, not even if, when Sam get clapped, it's going to be okay. I want them to come back and stop and just prevent Europe and North America getting complacent, because we've definitely seen that happen.
But I feel like there's already been lands where Sam has played against NA. So what stops him now from not getting clapped this next go around?
I guess the issue is that there's been like 2 years since like they last played them annoyingly. So
too
like,
big of a gap.
Yeah, exactly. And like there's always that whole thing of it's a lot like if you're learning a skill, then you go away from it and sort of do it on your own for a bit without a teacher, where you might fall into bad habits. Like I said about the whiffing, that was such a massive thing in South America that we commented on at the time. There was a lot of whiffs, and it's annoying, but also, why should they fall out of that habit if they're not being punished for having that habit? So hopefully it does get sort of beaten out of them, and then 2-3 lands time, they're then competing for the top 4 spot like Oceania did.
I don't know if y'all were listening beforehand, but I've suggested, rather than having like the NA and SAM majors being separated, you just have like a whole entire Americas major, because the majors are supposed to be lands anyways. So then you would give those teams from South America, Novus, AV, and True Neutral, they would more than likely, because they're the 2 best teams, they would play NA lands 3 times before Worlds, so then they'd be more prepared come Worlds, so then they can compete at the highest level. What you think about like something like that?
I love the idea. I think that short term, whether the players could see the long term, I'm not sure, but I think that short term they would be destroyed and they would hate it. Medium term, they'd start to compete, and presumably there would be more money in an All Americas major than a South American only major. So I think that the potential would be far higher for them to earn, but it would be tough at the beginning. It would be really tricky. Maybe if there was a slightly different route for them to get to a slightly later round or something.
Give them a bye to the semi-final.
Give them a
30k minimum prize money, and they'll be fine. But no, I think it's a really intriguing concept.
I do worry that it might, if it was a standalone event, event, I love that. I think if you did get the top 2 teams from South America, it might end up inadvertently diluting the region by taking the top teams out of there. So the lower teams haven't really got a higher team to scrim against, then they sort of fall into worse habits. So if it was a side event where it's like the Americas major, but you've also got the North American one and the South American one, yeah, I think that would be really awesome. Any chance for them to compete like against other North American teams, I think is absolutely fantastic. And also, like you said about Japan getting involved as well, like there's so much opportunity for the entire east part of the world to get involved and like make a really, really big stand and actually really start to improve. So it's an untapped region, and we know how much that like life there is in those regions as well in other esports. So there's a lot of people there that currently aren't playing that definitely could.
Yeah.
It's about to get a lot harder. That's all I gotta say. Like looking at all these regions and seeing everyone and the path to improve. That's what I liked about this season in general though when we first started was like before the world kind of ended, seeing that like all these different opportunities for teams to like come in with every major being a LAN, and you had at least I think like at least 8 teams from each region like that would come together and play against each other. There was so many opportunities for growth just in that alone. And now like obviously things have been pushed back a little bit more, but yeah, it'll be exciting to see how things develop when we actually start going to those live events again.
Yeah, I wonder like where they'll be as well, right? Like, is there anywhere that you guys would think would be awesome for those lands where the Eastern guys can show off like any places they've got? Because there's meant to be the Olympics, which I thought would have been really cool over in Japan, but that couldn't happen. But
there still might be
goes on.
In 2021. True. As far as I know, it's not officially been cancelled this year, unless that's changed in the last week or so. Yeah, I don't know how likely it is, but technically it's not been cancelled yet.
Mm. Go ahead.
I would love to go to Japan, so
True.
They have over there. Go to Hong Kong or something.
Yeah, I'm always down for Bora Bora personally because that's just my favorite place. I need the kind of island experience for me. Like, oh yeah, just play some Rocket League, going to a beach with a coconut, like chilling out.
You're just looking for your own vacation. That's
I am looking for my own vacation. Yes, that is the point.
At all. You just want a vacation. Yes. You can go to Bora Bora yourself. We're talking about RL.
It could be an outside LAN where all the crowd are outside and we're watching these giant screens.
Cole, pitch your idea. Cole, pitch it. Pitch the idea, Cole.
Oh, goodness me. This is going back about 2 years. Idea. Yeah, okay. This is going back to 2018 when I just been to my first music festival. And I thought, why don't we have this for video games where it's in the peak of summer, right? Maybe in a hot place, maybe just in summer in England where it can be rainy. And people just go over there, and there's various esports events like a DreamHack, and you've got a pint of non-alcoholic water, and you're sipping it, and you're going, oh, I've never heard of this CS:GO esport because not everyone there is an esports particularly knowledgeable person. I might go check that out. And you wander over there with your drink, with your friends, and you're watching this giant screen as people play for loads of money. And then you go, oh, Rocket League, I think that finals on. That's the one I really want to watch. So it's the same as when you're at a music festival and you go to various bands. You're like, yeah, I really want to see this one. 8 p.m. I'll go to that band. You do the same with esports events. I think there's a place for that idea in Bora Bora.
In Bora Bora.
I'm recruiting you here for the idea in Bora Bora.
Okay. Esports concert in Bora Bora. We'll have Marshmallow play.
Yes.
And Travis
Scott.
You could actually have Onyx is sponsored with like Marshmallow or something too.
That'd be so cool.
We can make it happen.
Epic's watching, make it happen.
That'd be interesting. That'd definitely be interesting. I mean, I think there's a lot of definite places. I know most of NA still wants the Texas land. Like they're all, especially now that everyone's moving to Texas, they're all like, yeah, please put it back in Texas. Ooh, oh my gosh. I think I want to see Copper Box Part 2 personally.
Oh,
I think Copper Box Part 2 because I didn't go to Part 1, so I gotta go to Part 2. That's you know what you're going.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Vegas was nice. I also went to DC. Like, I've been to every NA one from DC on. Or no, from season 3 on. I'm sorry. So those have been the ones I've gone to.
Where's Copper Box? What
Copper Box is in London. That was season 5.
That's the London one.
Yeah.
That one is still the best London, in my opinion. Y'all did an amazing job over there in Europe. I'm very proud of it.
I mean, honestly, we're proud of it was everybody drinking lots and lots of non-alcoholic water, of course, and making sure that they were getting loud, everybody getting involved. If everybody else wasn't involved, it was just like 3 English guys at the front shouting incoherently, and it would have just been weird.
Yeah, Rocket League, woo!
trying to
Let's
get
do it.
Pirates of the Caribbean chant going. I was like,
Oh
what are you
my
doing?
God.
That was
That was
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
I want to. Oof. How feasible is it? Since we're talking about lands, real quick before tomorrow segues or something. How feasible is it? Say if lands are in Texas and such, and if you're just like a fan in Europe, like, do a lot of people do a lot of Europe people go? I've never been to a land personally. They're never close to me.
So I normally arrange mine and Cole's travel. Whenever we
Thank
go
you.
anywhere, I'm always
you.
like the travel mum. Because
Thank you.
I get so stressed out if I don't have the tickets on my phone or something. Like I need to know like where we're going. Okay, we're getting an Uber from here to here. I like to plan everything, right? So
Okay.
I normally make sure that I get our tickets. To be fair, Cole is very good at like being in the background and just literally saying, "What are we doing?" I'm like, "Love that, love that." You're not going to argue with me. This is great. But yeah, in terms of like prices and stuff, it depends on where it is. Like I'd love to do an East Coast like New York LAN. That is like one of my top destinations I'd love to do a LAN at. But yeah, if it was over in Texas, prices aren't normally too bad, to be honest. They're about, I don't know, God, about £500. So what's that? $300 or so, like 300 or so. But then, yeah, I think it's more like accommodation and stuff. We've never flown to a North American LAN of our own accord, as far as I know. It's normally being like arranged for us. Thank you, Silex, by the way. Cheers. I know you're listening, Ian. You're a legend. So yeah, as far as I know, it's more the like hotels and stuff that are normally the biggest problem. But then I don't know what it was like for guys coming over from North America to London, because I think a European city is so different to a North American city, because they're just, even London, like it's so much smaller than when we flew to LA once. Like I swear we were flying over LA before we actually landed at LAX for about an hour. That
LA's
place is
massive.
huge.
It's massive.
It's ridiculous. Like I just didn't understand it at all. So have you guys all come to London before? Or is it just a couple
Oh
of you?
no. Mm-mm.
No,
I never have.
no one.
So none of you have.
Spain.
One day, soon, hopefully, maybe.
Okay.
So T-Bates, did you say that you'd never been to a LAN at all?
Yeah, I've never been to Atlanta at all. I was
Oh
gonna
my
go. I was
goodness.
gonna go to the Texas season 9, but then the more pointed out, the world ended, so that got
I'm
canceled.
so sorry. That
Yes.
sucks. It will be worth the wait. I promise you that. Whether it's
Yeah.
Rocket League or for anything else, they're unbelievable. The vibes that there are, the friends that you make, the fact that it's Rocket League in the center of it all, so there's always a talking point of everyone you meet, especially as you're a player yourself as well. So people be saying, "Oh, how do I do this? How do I do that?" And it's just great. They could not be better, these lands.
Oh, I wanted so badly. And I asked y'all that question because I was trying to figure out how like feasible it is to make like a proper NA versus EU crowd per se. So then it'd be like if you get like not a G2, SSG versus BDS, and if you have one side completely
That'd be
for that,
good.
that would be
The
insane.
issue is, it would be having sort of an NA versus EU crowd would like be having a Sam Rocket League team versus North American Rocket League team. It would just be a little bit weighted to one side. Like that one team's gonna win. You know that it's gonna be a bit of a stomp. One side's gonna get clapped, but that's fine.
like-
That's okay.
That's
They'll learn
fine.
after a few lands.
Oh, we're
I think what we
talking
need.
Oh, time out.
We're talking about
You tried
BDS being
Go
the
ahead.
best team in the world. You can't assume they're gonna get clapped as soon as they come to NA or an NA team.
No, he's talking about the
whatever.
crowds. They're talking about the crowds, not the teams.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like you're saying that we know one team is gonna get clapped, but if it's a
I'd love to see what North American crowds can really put up, because at Vegas, to be fair, when it came down to the grand finals and it was Cloud9 versus Dignitas,
Right.
we straight up switched. We were there for Cloud9. Like we
Yeah,
were
true.
shouting and screaming for Cloud9 that entire way. As soon as the bracket reset happened, we were just like, okay, Cloud9 need to win this. Like they've got to take this down. Yeah. And that's when the NA guys got really loud, and that's one thing that we've been so annoyed about with some of the footage back from that event and even on the stream. You can't the
Make out?
sound of it. Yeah, you can't make out how actually loud it was, because it was really loud. Like the chanting was actually really awesome at Vegas on the final day. The North American lot were going absolutely wild, and it was fantastic. And then looking it back, I remember me and Cole watched it back to see, I like how did like chat respond to it and stuff. And people were like, "Oh, it's so quiet," but it's like, no, it was
Yeah.
actually so good, and people were so animated. But yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't quite follow through.
You're definitely at the mercy of production and stuff like that when it comes to watching on at home and seeing how much sound there is and how many creative chants and stuff like that. That is another thing that Landon put it in the perfection pot that was Landon, where everything fell into place so beautifully. Production was incredible as well, where they had the volumes mixed perfectly, where you could actually hear the nuance of the chants that we were doing and the creativity as well. It's tough to do though, because it's just so easy to get something lost in the mix, and as soon as it is, that's not the focus anymore, and it is much less impactful, I would say, for the end user. So it's so difficult to get it all across.
I do remember, just as last topic on chance, that in Vegas, we had seats that we were basically assigned, me and Cole, in front of some microphones, like in the middle of the thing. They were like, right, you guys are sitting here, just as a heads up. We have microphones aimed at you. But then I got a message on the first day, after like 2 series, where somebody messaged on our Discord saying, just a heads up, guys, when you're having a conversation, the stream can hear you. And we were like, okay, all right. We're just chanting for 8 hours. That's okay. We won't have a single conversation.
Here, talk to me over here by the stairs, away from the microphones.
Yeah.
Let's just hide our mouths. Go, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't like psionics, Ian. Oh, what a jerk.
Oh man! That being said, though, I do want to see that kind of idea. At first, I was against it because I was like, "Oh God, this sounds like let's split up North America. Let's put North American people and European people in the same room. Have them sit across from each other. All of them sit across from each other during a competitive match and see how they like. Nobody gonna act right. That was my first thought, but then I thought about like, okay, there may be something here. One, it's a Rocket League lane, so everyone's gonna act right. But two, sure, the European chants are way more creative, but North American people do stuff like break world records for doing waves. So,
Very true.
There's a chance here it could be interesting.
There's also the fact that if it's a European crowd, there would be the language barrier. So say there's a few idiotic Brits at the front, and we're thinking, oh, wordplay, puns, yeah. There'll be some poor Spanish guy at the back going, what does that mean? I don't get it. I'm not channeling to that. It makes no sense.
Making general noises.
Yeah, so EU has split the crowd, whereas NA is very much, everyone can clap along.
To be fair, no, we did try and combat that as well, because that did slightly happen in Madrid, where like all of the casting was in Spanish in there, and we're there chanting in English, and there are a few people that were just like, I don't know what these idiot Brits are saying, like what are they talking about? So we ended up taking an idea that we had in London, where we had whiteboards, and we were writing like the chant on the whiteboard, and we had like little teams. So we'd have 2 people like go back a few rows, hold them up in the aisles, and show the words to people. And then we'd then point at the signs when like we were chanting what was on the signs to like try and get everybody involved. But that's a lot of legwork. Do you know what I mean? Like,
we're old now.
North Americans, they'll get it.
Move it.
I'm almost 28. I can't be bothered running up and down the aisles
you're
anymore.
Late 20s. You're nearly 40, mate.
Almost in my mid-20s, I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay, no, Cole gonna need a stretcher after that. Like we can't do that. Okay. But that being said, you talk about Madrid. We're gonna segue here into one of the things we wanted to talk to you guys about. Obviously, this weekend is going to be the European Major. So you guys have kind of, you guys have obviously, you are, in my opinion, 2 of the best casters, the best duo in Europe. That's just my opinion. I love you guys though very much. So I'm biased. That being said, talk to me about the strength of Europe compared to the rest of the world here. We are going to get into the conversation of North America versus Europe. That's the conversation right now. But from your perspective, and as our resident EU experts, how do you guys feel about Europe as a whole?
Go on, Cole. Take it away, mate. Really lay into North America here.
I don't want to lay into North America because I love North American Rocket League. I think that Team BDS is the best team in the world. I'll get that across to start off with. I think that no matter how many times they might have won.
Mate.
All right,
Here we go.
Roldis probably knows more than me. That's the thing. Whenever I come into a conversation like this, especially when it's against a pro player, I always assume they know more. But I'm only going by what I see and by consistency and by quality and by speed and the eye test. And to me, the eye test of Team BDS is something that no other team in the world, with the regularity that BDS have, can achieve. The pace that they play at and the control that they have over the pitch without sacrificing, without sacrificing positioning and double committing and stuff like that is something that I don't really see anywhere else. And I think the results that they continue to have over every single team in Europe, barring, I think, the second regional. I have to go back and look at the results again and look at my notes. My memory is rubbish on the top of my head for a thing like this. But yeah, BDS just incredible. Rest of EU, great. But yeah, BDS is something special. The amount of time they've been as good as they are is unlike any other team.
Yeah, I agree. I think BDS is the best team in the world. I'm not even going to look at Roldiz because I can't be dealing with that kind of negativity in my life today. Right, BDS are the best team in the world. I do think, though, when it comes down to the most recent North American Grand Finals that we had, that is one of the best series like we've seen. It was like them have been absolutely incredible. Envy's bracket reset was unbelievable. Like some of those series, they are some of the best series we've ever had. But then I do feel that when you look at the precision and the stamina that I didn't think that any team had in both Giants and BDS during the European Grand Finals, I think that's completely unmatched. For BDS to continue doing it, and I think Cole mentioned when we were casting that there was everyone reached their peak. It was incredible, and then there were whiffs coming in, and people started to mess up, and there were mistakes, there were double commits, and it got quite messy. And then I think it was like Monkey Moon or Extra did something incredible, and then everyone just goes back in it. Like, we're going to turn it back up, and it was everyone's last second win, the reserves kick in, and it was, again, the best Rocket League in the world. I think BDS are on top. I think Europe as a region does generally have more depth to it. However, I feel like yes, they do. But I do think that North America, at times, outside of the top 6, is relatively irrelevant. I think outside of top 6, you're starting to get to teams that are essentially cannon fodder for the Big 4/Big 5, whichever one you sort of want to consider inside that bracket. I feel that when it comes down to a Worlds, a lot of people, for some reason, are thinking that BDS will be, or can be, and I appreciate it's a possibility, they could be worse on LAN, and that seems to be a big thing that a lot of people, Europeans and North Americans alike, are saying, well, they might struggle on LAN, they might have loads of nerves, they might really throw it, and they might, ultimately, they might do really badly. Or they get better. They turn it on. They go Vitality mode. They go K-Dot mode. And they just go incredible. They become near flawless at Rocket League. They go Turbo Pulsar mode, where he's bringing it in for North America and he just hops regions and wins another one. Like, it's something that I'm very excited to see. And I don't remember the original question. BDS are good, though.
Oh my!
You have to say that, man. You could have just stopped it.
You got away with it, mate.
I know. I don't know how.
Okay, well, I don't know who I should go to first. Whether it's Roldiz or T-Bits. Any of y'all ready to take this one?
T-Bits, go ahead, man.
Oh, you go first, man. You set the tone, man. Let them know.
Guys, take it in turns. You can
Let
both be
them know,
wrong.
man.
Don't worry.
I just can't believe the blasphemy from EU.
Blasphemy. Absolute blasphemy.
To say that the depth in EU is so much greater than NA when you have one team that is nearly 1,000 points.
And that shows how good they are. They bring it in above all of the other teams in the region.
But NA is consistently top 3 teams. BDS is almost 1,000 points above the second place roster.
Do you think that BDS are not the best team in the world then? Who do you think are the best team in the world?
United, of course.
Here we go.
When I go to the best team in the world, you got to think about the guy who's won it 4 times. And you got to think about the people around that guy who's won it 4 times. And I think the Machine is still the best team in the world.
The Machine is Envy, by the way, if you don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
They had a little fall off, but they'll get back on top of it, on top of things. And when Major comes up and when Worlds comes up, Turbo's going to show why he is a 4-time world champion. So I think
love that. I'd love to have it.
Give him 5. Why not? Let's go wild.
Exactly. I do think BDS is extremely talented.
That's
There's
very generous of you.
There's a reason why they're 1,000 points ahead. I just don't think they're the best team in the world. I just don't.
My only worry with Envy is that if BDS do improve at LAN and they elevate even their own current ceiling, will Envy, even if Envy are playing at their best, will they be able to deal with that? Or if Space Station Gaming, maybe they play better at LAN. Well, I'm asking you guys because you've played them.
We gotta go
when
to
Envy are
T-Base.
at their best,
Yeah, go ahead,
this
T-Base.
is an open question to you guys who have played them, right? When Envy are at their best, are they as difficult to play as, say, an NRG or a Space Station or even recently a Rogue at their best? Because I see them as more controlling rather than petrifying in the same way, if that makes sense. I feel like against these other teams, you can't even get boost. You're looking around, you're thinking, what do we possibly do? Whereas with Envy, they beat you more cleanly. Does that make any sense? The way that they play?
Yes, I agree with that. That's a great breakdown.
Okay,
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's why I start off with calling them the machine, because the way they play is very controlled. It's a slower pace. They're not chaotic like Rogue. Like you watch First Killer, he's very chaotic player. He's up in your face, stealing your boost. He's demoing you. He dominates when he's on his game, kind of like Justin as well. So he doesn't necessarily do that. But back to the BDS thing. Okay, let's break it down. BDS, the reason y'all cast both regions. I believe I covered you on both of them, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
We've not actually fair, we've not seen North America. We're not casting North America in winter. So I've not had much of a deep look into them. So across winter, I've not seen them as much.
I've missed
So
you.
if there's something massive that's happened,
So
See,
now it's making a little bit more sense as to why you're just so BDS centric right now. And let me tell you why BDS is just not the best in the world. They have no competition. You know how EU has no. You say EU has depth, and like I'll give you EU depth in terms of like maybe like the 10th team. NA at 10th, 11th maybe falls off a little bit. But I'm talking about pure depth. Like when I think about depth, I'm thinking like top 6, like world's potential. And NA is the superior region in that conversation. Would you say that?
It's a question of what you mean by depth, though. Like top 6, I definitely
top
agree
6,
that
like
North American
top 6 is stronger. I would agree that North American top 6 is the stronger part.
I think that's the crux of this. We're talking about the top 15 and how...
Or top 16 if we're looking at like the top
I suppose so.
on rankings,
how low you can go to watch an amazing series of Rocket League and be wowed. And I feel like I haven't really been wowed by NA teams below the top 4 or 5 in the same way as I have still been wowed by EU teams in form below the top 4 or 5.
Okay, that's fair. I can agree with that. I can side with you on that.
Okay.
That's fair. But out of any of those teams, like you're like out of the depth, there isn't like sure a 15 team EU, they could do great, but they're never gonna compete with a BDS because at the top end in EU, there's nobody on that level of BDS. While in A, you have legit 5 teams who can compete with one another in day out, whenever. It really depends on who's on that day. And BDS really gets to get away with some not so clean gameplay sometimes out of the EU area. And I think really that what like highlights all of this and how EU is just non-level is Team Queso, who I'm sure y'all like love a lot.
They are brilliant. They are so fun.
Like
Cheese,
it's just like
they're great.
It's like a random team who like came in, like they were Magnifico before, and they were like they played decently, but then they all of a sudden pop off one region 2, and they make it all the way to the end and win. In NA that would never happen because there's just 5 legit teams that if one of those teams is going to win no matter what. One of those 5 teams, and in EU it's like BDS and then whoever. It's just like a BDS is off, anybody else can win. Which
to me, though, that's the opposite of depth, is what you're describing.
No, I'm not arguing the depth part. I'm just arguing like in terms of like at the top end, who's the best. And I'm trying to say like BDS, since they're like they have like no true competition over there. In terms of like if you have a team like Team Queso that can go all the way, they're an average team, and then go all the way and compete and then win. That's like a hit on the region per se, because in NA, no team that's okay. You're never gonna get an 11 team ever beaten and winning a regional. You're always gonna be those top 5, top 6 teams in NA that win.
So to me, that's 2 conflicting points, where it's the North American depth. It depends on what you're describing as depth. If you're describing the top 6, for example, just because they're like the green ones on like Wikipedia, if you're going top 6, you can then say that anybody in the top 6, I think, could beat each other. It goes MV, NRG, Space Station, Rogue, G2, Peeps. I see any of those, maybe not Peeps, but like I see any of those like really competing and taking games off each other. I completely agree. The top area is stronger in North America. Then if you expand that to the top 16, the fact that you said that Queso can come through and win the entire regional, to me, shows that whilst BDS are nearly 1,000 points clear, which, by the way, is utterly insane. Like, that's just ridiculous that they're 1,000 points. And one of my favorite stats was that they could have sat out an entire regional and still finished first, which is just hilarious. Like, they could have just nailed it regardless. But the fact that Team Queso did go through and still end up winning, and BDS have won essentially all the others apart from Top Blokes winning one, shows that BDS are just another level on top of Europe, who have also got incredibly strong teams. Hence, BDS are head and shoulders above North America. That's where my logic kind of comes in with that. I think it's two conflicting points that have been put forward. But at the same time...
I get it.
Yeah. But then at the same time, BDS versus Envy, how sick is that going to be? Like, actually having those two teams, if both of them reach the same level, or reach the highest level they possibly can, that is going to be some of the most perfect Rocket League we're ever going to see. Replace NRG in there, put Space Station Gaming in there, even Vitality for Europe. You would have some incredible gameplay, and that's what like this next LAN is going to be awesome for. And South America will be there getting clapped. No,
Come on out for South America.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
It is okay.
That's all right.
Hey,
That's all
they
right.
get clapped. So they love BDS. They're big on BDS.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we gotta be. I think we'd be crazy if we weren't big on BDS. What I'd love, by the way, if it was BDS versus Envy, is the difference in styles that we talked about as well. Can Envy control the uncontrollable, or will BDS just be able to waltz all over him? That is like, it writes itself, you know, the storyline there.
Oof.
It's true. That will be a pretty good matchup to watch.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, same here. You know, I didn't really have an opinion, or at this point, I was kind of, I was throwing everybody against each other. I wanted to see how this was gonna go because I knew going in. I talked to Cole Stumpy a lot. I talked to all his teammates a lot. I knew this was like clashing heads here. You know, for me, I think that I'm one of those people where I kind of see it to believe it type of deal. I think BDS is a team that has had an incredible season. It's so crazy to think too, because like BDS Informer just never showed this, right? Like any other iterations of the roster just weren't on this level, and they just come into the season and they dominate. It's definitely something to pay attention to, but for me, I can't call a team the best team in the world until I see them play at the world stage. You know, like I think a lot of us, like last season, we're talking about the same thing about Vitality for a long time, but then they played NRG, and then NRG ended up winning. But I think in terms of like skill pushed on throughout the region, yeah, I think like at least in the top 6, I think the top 6 in NA is stronger there. I think the top 6 in EU though will keep it close, and it'll still be fun Rocket League to watch regardless. I think that my personal favorite storyline out of this entire season is Team Envy though, just because of like, first off, you know, missing Atomic, them stepping up, but also the biggest point is Turbo winning a world championship with NRG, then getting kicked. And if he's able to win a world championship while beating what everybody is calling the best team in the world in Europe after being removed from his roster, I feel like that's just an incredible accomplishment. We would have to call him the greatest of all time at that point.
I think he already is. I think he is the greatest of all time. I've been intrigued to see. Yeah, I've been intrigued to see who people would put above him. We actually had this discussion in our Discord the other day where some people were putting forward K-Dot, which I think is another fantastic answer. But I just think for me, like Turbo literally won a load of like world championships in Europe. That was too easy. Head over to North America, win another one, and then be kicked. And then go on to a team with 2 players who have been chilling out for a little bit, sort of mid to top table, and then elevate them to then the competition for, or the best team in the world. I don't know who you would put above him. Like, that's an unbelievable career he's had so far.
Man, I got a name, but
oh god,
but I don't
Go
know
ahead.
if we're talking about that.
Go ahead. Come on.
I would say like K-Dot, in my opinion, at the moment.
Very fair.
Right now. Because like, okay, I'm gonna ask you a fair question. Bring up Turbo's rings. Was he ever the best person, but the best player on any of those teams?
That's the beauty of it, though. That is the beauty of Turbo Pulsar, that he constantly is written off. And I remember his, it was either his late days of NRG or just after he'd moved to Envy, or maybe he was trying with someone before. And he looked really bad. Like, he was in this tournament, I was watching him. He was slow. He was second to every ball. He wasn't reading the game well. And I've said this many times. I was like, this is the end of Turbo. Even internally, I was just thinking he can't possibly recover from this. He is not as good. And then he recovers from it. And then he ends up winning God knows how many regionals
silly.
when the RLCSX begins properly. He just always finds a way to elevate those around him and to win. And I think the fact that he isn't the best player on any of those rosters is part of his magic,
Greatness.
right? That's what makes it is part of his greatness. Yeah, that's what makes him so special and so unique. That I think you have to be called the GOAT.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you guys watch American football, but a great comparison
Christ,
to Turbo
no.
is Tom Brady.
Oh
right?
god.
Tom Brady. He just enables his teammate. Tom Brady might not be the best player on his teams majority of the times he's playing, but he brings chips home. He brings chips home, and that's what matters. He's a winner.
He won the latest NHL, didn't he?
Is
that it? He is
All
so
right.
good. He is so good
Okay.
at lacrosse.
All right.
I can't believe it.
All right.
Swooping him in.
Oh, I love my American football.
Yeah, man, we
my
love that.
God.
Go long.
Yeah, yep, that's how they played that game there. Yep. Come on,
sport.
boys. Like, you can't say that after Johnny Boy went and did the whole NFL Gridiron stream. He was literally playing American football.
Which was so good, by the way. That was so cool.
Yeah, that was really fun. But I like T-Bay's point about K-Dot. I've always said this. I was written off from it last season, and I forgot the dude's name, but if you're in chat right now, you still owe me $20. Day 3 K-Dot is a completely different beast than K-Dot in the rest of any tournament at a live setting. If K-Dot makes it to the 3rd day of the event, he is going to the grand finals. It happens every time. The only time that it didn't happen was when they lost against the Peeps, and the Peeps won that whole tournament, so that was well done. But anywhere else, anytime, any team, K-Dot is day 3 at, his team makes it to the grand finals. So like I could see T-Bates having like a solid, strong argument there. But it's just,
I love Cole's point though.
yeah.
I talk about that all the time, where you gotta elevate your teammates. And Turbo does that. Oh, Cole's
I
point's
wonder
up.
what he does behind the scenes, because like
I don't
the
know
fact
half the
that it's a
time.
great point that you made as well, T-Bates, that the fact that he's never the best player on that team. He gets like MVP. He got the MVP award for when NRG won. But like during like the regionals at the time, all the league play stuff, he wasn't necessarily standing out in every single situation. On Dignitas, he wasn't always standing out, but he was just perfect position, perfect time, and he did what needed to be done. What is he doing behind the scenes that has elevated Mr. Atomic to that level? Is he receptive to them? Does he make them receptive to him? I'm intrigued by him. He is such an incredible player, and the fact he's had the career he's had already, and he's just continuing, is awesome. And it's going to be so good to see what else he ends up doing on Envy. One point about K-Dop though, very quickly, is I've been down on him in the RLCS X to an extent at times.
I can agree with that. I can agree
At
with
times he has been incredible, like straight up like the best in the world. Like he's done so well. But there have just been weird series where he whiffs really frequently. He's badly positioned. His shooting in one particular series was just so abysmal, and they ended up losing when he had like honestly 3 or 4 open nets in one series that would have won them the games and just got them through with the breeze. I think for me, K-Dot really, he was on like the precipice of like sort of slumping and like really starting to right on the edge of going down. And then as he's about to fall, he then just brings himself back up because he's got so much fight and he's still carrying on. And it's awesome to watch. Like, I'm not nearly that competitive at all. If I felt myself slumping, I'd be like, I've done pretty well. Okay. I've got a few medals and trophies. I don't really care anymore. But like the fact that he was ultimately having a tough time. And I was saying that he needs to have a word, or Vitality needs to have a word with him and just make sure that he's in a good position because something was wrong. And he's worked his way out of that. And that's something that I admire a hell of a lot.
Okay. I love them both. I think in terms of whatever happens in this world will really like signify which one's the greater player. I think if Vitality ends up popping off and goes all the way, then you might have to put K-Dop. I mean, for y'all have Turbo number 1 anyway, so K-Dop he entered that like 1A, 1B with a Turbo if he would win.
Yeah, I think I'd see it right now. Vitality versus Envy. I see that going quite clearly to Envy. but also I'm sort of struggling to think of what Envy would be like on a LAN setting, how Vitality are going to be on a LAN setting. If it's a 3-day event is apparently a massive thing as well. Maybe it's a 2-day event and K-Dot does terribly. But yeah, that would be great to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen K-Dot in a 2-day event, so I mean the statistics there should speak for themselves. That being said, actually I have seen him in a 2-day event. It's been all the playoffs, the playoff weeks technically. Those are kind of like 2 to 4 day events. So they haven't been 3 days. So if there's ever a regional where it's 3 days, then maybe Vitality will get back on top. But until then, my point stands. But that being said, we do have the European Major coming up this weekend. That's kind of the juicy part here where I think we can all come together, hopefully, and see how things work. So I kind of sent you guys a hypothetical bracket. I don't think it's 100% confirmed because I didn't see it on Wikipedia, but I still sent it to you guys just so we all had the same thing in front of us. Yeah, I don't see it on Wikipedia, so it may be subject to change. So that being said, based on what you guys have seen, I can't show it for the chat either. I'm sorry, guys, but based on what you guys have seen in this bracket as we go through it, what kind of expectations do you guys have? At least looking at it just off of face value. We don't have to go through every matchup. I don't think we even have enough time for that. But I want to get because boy, Lord knows we'd be here forever.
Sorry, we talk a little bit too much. Apologies.
I mean, so do we. So do we. That's what I'm saying. Like, Lord knows we'd be here for like at least like another hour or two. But let's talk about just things that you expect and then things that you want to see. You know what I mean? Everyone has the things that they expect. Like I expected Rogue to lose last time to G2, but I wanted to see Rogue win, and they did. So kind of think of it that way.
Okay.
I mean, BDS win. Let's just get that out there. BDS, no, team, don't give me that look. All right, they just probably do. We'd say this on the pre-show as well. Even if we don't want them to, and extra, I don't want you to win. But if BDS do win, then like obviously it's like makes sense. It's not a great prediction if somebody says that.
You just know there's someone on the subreddit right now going, Stumpy hates Extra. What is this beef that's going on between Stumpy and Extra?
Extra probably doesn't know who I am. I'm okay with that. Extra doesn't need to. He's Extra. I think a team that could come out and end up winning it, depending on how well they play on the day, which I appreciate is such a cop-out answer. But Dignitas had such a good end to Europe. They had such an amazing couple of regionals. Like Jack on that team, they're brand new. Like they're a new team. And I was worried when he first went on there. I was wondering how that would go forward. Jorius obviously was an amazing addition to Dignitas. It shows that it was never particularly in doubt, but really reinforced that ones does not mean that you can't play threes. It just means that you've got a different skill set and that can be harnessed in a different way. The fact that Dignitas have done as well as they did, I think they are my biggest sort of the fringe team that could end up taking it. It would be incredibly hard to get there, but yeah, I think for me it would be Dignitas as my European rogue almost.
I'm just gonna go off a Stumpy real fast here. I was gonna say, see, you're so confident, BDS. You're so confident, but I was gonna say, and I'm going to say, just looking at the bracket, the hypothetical, I have Dignitas winning. I don't know. I just feel like they're starting to click a little bit, and they have one of the best leaders in the game, and Panda and Jorias and apparently Jack are amazingly talented. You see them ones, and it's just a matter of time before they legit put themselves onto that level, onto that pedestal. And I believe that they're gonna take this. I just have a feeling. I just got a feeling. It's a tingle. It's like an itch.
We agree on something. How nice.
Can I check a question out there? For everybody, if Dignitas won Worlds, right? This is going ahead in the future. How close would Violent Panda be to GOAT status? I think that if Dignitas won Worlds, he would overtake K-Dop in my mind, but not quite be up there with Turbo. But he'd certainly barge his way into that conversation. With the history that he's had, he was part of the original Dignitas trio. Since then, he was left with Dignitas to pick up the pieces, and it didn't last forever with Yukio, but he made him better. Astral, of course, was the best player in the world when he was with Dignitas, in my opinion. And now, as you guys were just saying, with his current teammates, he has elevated them yet again. It's that elevation that we were saying is what makes Turbo so impressive. Could Panda start to enter that conversation?
I'd say enter.
Maybe.
Yes, I think he could enter the conversation. You know what I mean? Like he's in there, but then he has to do a little bit more if he wants to actually make it like definitive. You know what I mean?
Well, I would counter argument that because, well, if he were to win, it'd be even more impressive in my eyes because he stayed. He didn't leave. Like
exactly.
The other two left, and they went and like Turbo immediately left, and he went and joined a great team. He joined Garrett G and Justin. Like you beat them in the Worlds literally 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons prior, or 2 seasons prior. So, but he stayed. He picked up the pieces, and like he sat there and rebuilt players over and over again. And every single player that has come into his team has been like they've been raw, they've been talented, but they necessarily haven't been great threes players. And now playing with him and under his tutelage, they become great threes players. And it's like it's consistent too. It's like it's a process.
Yukio.
Yeah. Ooh, that would put him really up there. I find it way more impressive if you stay and you're committed to one team rather than just team hopping. And when team hopping, you're just going and join other great players that are already like bona fide and prepped already. Like Garrett G, everybody knew who Garrett G is. Justin, you join them, you're supposed to win, in my opinion. But if you would stay with Dignitas the whole way,
I do wonder, like, how far up he go in my mind, because I do think that Panda is one of the best Rocket League captains ever, if not the best Rocket League captain ever, because of he does exactly said teammates. He does the transformative action, and under the tutelage of him, players like Astral, like Yukio, or like Astral definitely, went on to become some of like the best players in the world. And Turbo on that team and KDOP, not necessarily tutelage in that regard, but the fact that those three on 3 independent teams would then move their way up to being the greatest of all time contention, firstly shows how amazing that Dignitas roster was. Like, how ridiculous is that like we're talking about KDOP, Turbo, and Panda all being greatest of all time, and yet at one point they were on a team together. And yeah, I think if they won Worlds, I think it would put him in a 3rd place for me. I'd still think KDOP would be better. I think KDOP's still got a bit more there. He's got more results. He's more consistently grand finals. To me, KDOP would still be 2nd. But yeah, I think that would put Panda in 3rd, to be honest.
Yeah, I think all 3 of them players are considered. They can be considered top 3 and contention for GOAT status. I think Turbo kind of has it locked up, especially if we go to Worlds and MV ends up making another finals appearance. That would be crazy. I think for this bracket, though, I think I'm with Stump. I'm with. I don't know if T-Base has it, but I think BDS wins it. But I think Dignitas will make a big run here in this bracket.
And I'm such a popular opinion. This is so nice.
Well, Tyler, what team do you have?
I said Dignitas.
You're thinking Dignitas is gonna win the thing.
That's regional.
Oh, so you're
major.
Sorry, it's my fault. I got us talking about Worlds.
You think Dignitas is gonna win the major?
Yes, I looked at the bracket. I am convinced that they are going to win this.
Look at DeMar's face, bro.
Wait, what face did you make? I was looking at the bracket.
It's the one where I think you're an idiot.
Huh?
Huh? First they play Guild first round. Okay, maybe they win that.
They're gonna win that.
What do you mean maybe they win versus Guild?
Win that. What? They better win
maybe?
That.
I don't know. Maybe nobody wants to have a good day. Maybe nobody wants to have a good day.
At Devo, I love Devo, but this ain't 2017 no more. We in 2021. Original Rocket League now.
But then they play top blokes next round. If this is the bracket, they lose.
They're better than blokes at the moment.
What? You think the top blokes right now, considering the last time we saw them play, you think the top blokes as of right now are better than Dignitas?
See, you used that word as of right now. That like I don't fit. No, not as of right now. But like if we're talking, maybe they were in a slump. I think they were in a slump.
Oh.
They could get out of a slump. Like they haven't played like how many weeks? Like, come on now. Come on now. Because I'm telling you, if top blokes is on top, like how we usually see them play, like I would put them even in that conversation. I think whoever comes up from that side will make it close. But you talk about the whole major.
Didn't Dignitas just finish 2nd in the regional? Am I mistaken?
Yeah, they were 3rd.
They came third in the most recent
Regional
region.
3.
Okay,
They were smashed by
yeah.
BDS twice.
Side
3-0 and 4-0.
question. Side question. Through upper bracket or lower bracket, do Dignitas win?
What you mean?
Like,
Oh.
do they beat BDS in uppers, or do they?
Well, see, that's the interesting.
Right, teammates, whatever you say, I'm with you, okay? I don't
No,
care
you're
about
not gonna be
BDS
with
anymore.
me.
Whatever you say,
You're
I'm with
with
you.
me.
This is our opinion, right? What do we think?
Well,
Oh,
you
mate.
see, I had BDS losing the Vitality in the upper bracket semifinal.
Oh, I regret this.
Oh, I've made that mistake. I've made the mistake of predicting Vitality would beat BDS one too many times, mate. Don't do it. Don't fall into that trap. It never happens.
No, but going off history, I'll change it for BDS. See, so that's why I had Dignitas going all the way, because I know that BDS actually demolished Dignitas when they played in Regional 3. So, but I want Dignitas to win, so I just went with my gut feeling.
Man,
But now,
Why you
I don't
doubting
know
yourself?
who wins BDS versus Dignitas. I don't know who wins the upper bracket, but I have Dignitas winning. So whether Dignitas wins or loses, they're gonna come through and win the whole entire thing, and that's just my opinion, and I'm sticking with it.
Do they beat BDS in this, or does someone else beat BDS?
They're gonna have to be BDS at some point or another. And matter of fact, since I feel like Dignitas can ride off momentum a lot. No, BDS probably rides off momentum more, because when they lose, they just start steamrolling everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order for Dignitas to win, they're gonna have to beat them in the upper bracket. I see that. If they lose, they're not gonna beat them.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, since I'm the one like coming at your head, I think that the hypothetical mystery of Vitality beating BDS has to come true, or like maybe they do get that upper bracket win, and then that also has to work. But I do not see Dignitas like taking 2 series off of BDS in a row. Like, I cannot, like, this is just nothing that gives me that. I can see him taking 1, but like it's BDS, bro. Like,
seeing the most recent time that firstly BDS played Dignitas did not win a game. Like, they got 3-0-4-0'd, which just did not go well for them whatsoever. That was also off Dignitas' perfect sweeping singularity, like having a load of momentum behind them and doing incredibly well. But then it comes down to BDS most recently winning the bracket reset in, like, I think it was like ended up being the 3rd or 4th longest series we've ever seen in Rocket League esports. Like, they're a very, very scary team. I don't think anybody realistically could beat BDS coming from the lowers. Like, if you have to beat BDS once, that's hard enough, let alone twice. If it does happen, wow. But I don't think anybody should expect it to. I think BDS need to be knocked out by Vitality earlier on.
Okay.
That's the only way I see it going well for Dignitas, because I do think that BDS ultimately probably win it. Like, almost certainly they're just going to win. Everyone's like, oh, GG, of course they do. Let's just keep feeding their bank accounts. But if they don't win, then it's relatively open, I'd say.
What you got, Cole?
Your opinion, Cole.
I mean, I think the BDS win it. I think that is. I'm sorry to say it, but I like upsets, right? But I also like it when the best team wins. And considering we're in the major now, not my dream, but my hope is for BDS to win it. Now, that might change on the day. Maybe another storyline emerges. But I think that the consistency they've had, to an extent, in my opinion, it would be a bit of a shame if BDS didn't win, because that's the right thing to happen. Does that make sense? That's the narrative that I view a lot of esports from, which I know is different. I know a lot of people, they always want the underdog to win, and that's completely fair. I sort of come at it from the other way around. In EU, though, the beauty of it is that there are many teams that can challenge BDS depending on how they play. We've had Team Singularity that have won a grid. We have had Redemption, who's just been signed by Rick's GG, who could be exciting. Yeah, Dignitas are probably going to be their biggest challenge, but also Vodafone Giants, actually, who we're forgetting as well, who needed to be bracket reset in the most recent grand finals, could have won that series. The last 2 games against BDS in the whole thing were both overtimes. There were 8 overtimes overall in that series as well. Giants continue to get better. Itachi
and the game 7 as well in the first series was an overtime. Like, they
was
were
an
one goal
overtime.
away from winning. Yeah.
Yeah, and Itachi, wherever he goes, he made Barcelona so much better, and he has made Giants subsequently so much better. We don't know how he will be in a pressure situation, such as a the Winter Major Grand Finals, or indeed a LAN when it happens. But I think that they deserve at least a shout out as potential challengers for BDS in this one alongside Dignitas.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. Well, I like to see where everyone is, as you know, this major or is starting to, be part of most people's conversations. It's already trending, and Wikipedia as people are starting to figure out. They're trying to find out what's the bracket going to be, so they can get their own preparations ready. It's not out just yet, but we had a little bit of a preview, so we want to kind of discuss it in our own. Yeah, honestly, as much as I'd love to sit here, we actually are way over time.
Sorry.
That being said, no, it was actually so much fun having you guys on today. I really do appreciate it.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us on as well.
of
We love to
course,
chat
of
to you all.
course. Yeah. So I mean, at this point too, I want to give you guys the floor. Shout outs to like anything you want and any projects you guys have coming up. Let us know.
Everyone should go follow at AmilCole93 on Twitter. He posts some fire memes, some really biting social commentary, and most of all, he's got a very sweet dog now. So just follow for that mainly.
Yeah, don't follow at Stumpy Goblin. Waste of time.
Oh, don't no, because we were going to do a whole bit where I shout you out, you shout me. We're not doing that.
Cheers for having us on, Daz. Really
Are you
appreciate it.
serious? Okay. Also, we stream twitch.tv/SubParButInHD. We're playing I'm playing loads of Among Us at the moment. Among Us is so fun. I'm really enjoying it. And Cole's just playing loads of Rocket League again.
No, I'm actually playing Trackmania.
And
at the moment.
Trackmania.
Any of you guys play Trackmania?
I have it.
Man.
Yeah, I've played it a little bit.
It's really fun. You should try it. It's like an arcade racer T-Bates. It's basically like instant respawn. So if you mess up your line, you just go again straight
Go
away.
again? Okay.
Yeah, and you're trying to shave 0.01 seconds off to get the next medal up. It's
On
so
Steam?
addictive. It's on the Epic Store and it's on the Ubisoft Store as well. It's free to like play the base game and then you pay for other stuff. Really good, really fun.
I have to try that out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, keep an eye on the. We can probably say it, Cole. Right? At Cole. Can we?
We're working on another piece of content that's similar to a previous piece of content that we made.
Yes.
That's all we can say at the moment. I think.
Yeah. Keep an eye on a certain car football games YouTube.
Yeah,
After
their
this
YouTube.
region is over.
Watch their
Yeah.
YouTube. They're making a cool video. So do
There we
that.
go.
If you don't know where their YouTube is, then at least follow them on Twitter because then they'll tweet it out at SubParButInHD on Twitter. These two are very awesome. I like them a lot. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And I missed you guys so much.
Oh, I miss
So
you.
I appreciate
I
it.
miss Buster.
Yeah,
How's
I got-
Buster does.
He is asleep somewhere. Oh, yeah,
good
he's
boy.
yeah, he's asleep. So but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I gotta talk to some people. I gotta cast more with Stumpy and Cole next split. We gotta make that work. So but until then, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us on the show. This has been First Touch. We will be back on Wednesday with Scrub Killer. And we will be talking to him also about the bracket to see just how he feels about all this other stuff. So if you've enjoyed the argument, there's more to come soon. But until then, thank you guys for joining us and have a good night. We're out.